This time next week, the golf world will be gearing up for the first major tournament of the year. That is the Masters in Augusta. And one golfer, Tiger Woods, is getting, of course, the major share of attention. Pretty amazing, since Tiger has not won a major in almost 10 years. His last victory on tour of any sort was back in 2013. Today, a new biography about Tiger Woods hits shelves. A book the New York Times is called Exhilarating, Depressing, Tawdry, Moving in Almost Equal Measure. One of the authors of this book joins us now, Armen Keteyian. Armen, welcome. Good to have you with us.
Thanks, Tyler.
I've started the book. It is a great read. I want to begin with his childhood, because there are a lot of patterns that go back generations in the Woods family, particularly on his father's side. He was a prodigy. But to me, he was a kind of manufactured prodigy, because his father and his mother made damn sure he was a prodigy. Was he driven, pushed, abused? What?
Well, I think he was programmed. I think that's the word that came to mind time and time again when Jeff Benedict and I were putting the book together. You almost felt like it was a computer program. And you know, on one side, his first name is Eldrick. So on one side, Tyler, you have the E for Earl, his father. And on the other side, you have the K for Catilda. So he's literally, figuratively, and literally surrounded by his parents from birth. And as much as Earl, mostly Earl, tried to suggest and make the argument that Tiger had a lot of choices in his life, he could have been a fireman, he could have been anything he wanted. The fact of the matter is, from the earliest days of his life, even before he entered the first day of kindergarten, Tiger's life was laid out for him.
The pattern was really striking, because Earl, the father, had been pushed to be a baseball player, I believe, by his father.
His father.
He tried hard to be a baseball player and didn't succeed. And it seemed to me that Earl then was going to make damn sure that his son, Tiger, realized maybe even not so much Tiger's passion, but his father's passion, which was golf.
I don't think there's any question. Earl discovered golf after he retired from the military, and it became an obsession in his life. And when Tiger was born, you know, Earl said, "I'm going to teach my son the sport of golf." And there's an interesting alchemy here. I mean, Earl is a very complicated man, dealt with racism and discrimination in the military. He has plans for his son, and as early as 2 years old, he's touting Tiger to Jim Hill, a very popular television sports anchor in Los Angeles at the time, saying, "You have to see my son." To understand Tiger Woods, and this was really the driving force of this book for both Jeff and I, there were really two questions. Who is Tiger Woods, and what's the cost or the price of genius? And to understand that, you have to understand Earl Woods, as I said, is a very complicated man, but not to forget Tita, his mother, who is the kind of the original Tiger mom, who gave Tiger his iron will, who told him time and time again, you don't just beat your opponents, you put your foot on their neck and you stomp them so they remember you.
So this programming, as he was raised, Armen, did this contribute to his downfall, his unraveling? Oh,
I don't think there's any question. There were so many factors. And you think about, you know, the price of extreme fame and fortune. You know, we liken him to Shakespeare in a lot of ways, and you come around, you see something like this once in your life, and you never see it again. And when you compound Tiger's own personality, he's a very nerdy guy growing up. He was socially awkward. He stuttered until he was about 7 years old. He was a very private person, spent a lot of time in his room, and then you have this absolute explosion of fame, followed by almost unimaginable fortune. Everything at his fingertips, whether it was money from the commercial sponsors, everybody jumped in. Nike, EA, American Express, Gillette, Gatorade, Wheaties. I mean, it was a who's who of American companies. And then all of a sudden, you have the world at your feet when it comes to women. And he had some dark influences on his life in that area as well. And you know, we don't make a lot of judgments in this book. We love to just lay out the facts as we found them and let the reader go along for a ride on an enormous arc in Tiger's life.
Coming back to that pattern point that I began with, Tiger's experiences with women and infidelity mirrored an infidelity that his father had pursued throughout his life. Can you date a point where it started to go wrong for Tiger? We remember the evening, the day after Thanksgiving, when he crashed the car into the mailbox and the fire hydrant. We remember Rachel Uchitel, the first of many girlfriends who came public. But had something gone wrong before then?
I don't know if it's gone wrong or just experiencing a level of fame that was almost unprecedented. I think we have a chapter called In the Bubble, and it's Las Vegas. And it's Las Vegas in early 2000 when the nightclub scene really hits. Light, Pure, Tao, Bank, the really high-end bottle service clubs that hit Vegas, whether it was at the Bellagio or the MGM or other places. And Tiger was drawn into that world by Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan. Barkley, a much more man of the people. Michael, very entitled in Vegas, does not have a great reputation in that city as far as with the working class. And Tiger experienced a level of fame at the MGM, at the Mansion, which is a very private enclave of villas there, that gave him a taste of what it's like to have virtually anything you want at your disposal. And then as he moved on, as that extreme fame was coupled with this compartmentalization in his life and the immaturity in a lot of ways, it was a recipe for what we saw with the meteoric rise and the almost unprecedented fall.
So, Armen, if we can pinpoint the rise and the fall, what trajectory is Tiger on right now?
I think he's on the best trajectory of his life. I think a little over a year ago, as you remember, he was found on the side, or a little under a year ago, he was found on the side of the road in Florida with a cocktail of drugs in his system that he was using to mitigate the debilitating pain he was feeling in his back. He came out of that opiate addiction. The spinal fusion surgery worked. He's feeling healthier. I saw him out at Torrey Pines at the Farmers Insurance. I'd never seen Tiger in the 3 years that Jeff and I spent reporting this book that engaged with the fans and smelling the roses, as somebody described it to me. And I think now he's very close to the Tiger that we saw of old. And I think when you get to the Masters, we may very well see on Sunday at Augusta, a reminiscence of a living legend come to life.
I'll tell you the obvious. If he is in contention on Saturday and Sunday, the television ratings for CBS will be off the charts. So let me ask you this. As I read through the book, he is not, to me, in many places, a sympathetic guy. He is a dislikable guy because of his behavior, his sense of entitlement, his profanity, something he also, again, shared with his father and his father before that. By the time I finish with this book, is he going to emerge as a sympathetic character or not? And how do you explain why people still cheer for him and root for him so much when a lot of the pros, way back when, didn't like him at all?
Well, that's a very good question. And I think the word would be empathetic. I think you're going to understand Tiger Woods from this book, from all the reporting that we did, unlike anything that you've read in your life. We spent so much time trying to answer that question. And trust me, Jeff and I went through many emotions. Days when we didn't like him, days when we thought he was completely entitled, days when we found him to be just an obnoxious, individual. But things have changed in the last couple years, really in the last year of Tiger's life. And I believe that he is going to be he is right now a very empathetic figure, and America loves comebacks, and there hasn't been somebody crawl out of the hole that Tiger was in, that deep cavernous hole that he was in physically and spiritually, not in my lifetime. And he still moves the needle. There's the PGA Tour, and there's Tiger Woods. And it's been that way since 1996. And it's really refreshing and exciting to see it that way again for however long it lasts.
As I mentioned, I think a lot of the fellow pros didn't exactly like him when they were competing against him. But the thing they liked was he brought money to the table.
No question.
In the PGA.
He changed
Armen,
the face of the tour.
Thank you. And I am
Tyler,
really looking forward to reading the full book.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.